in the last stream, we were working on a little bit more in the way of industrial foregoing. We set up this mob slaughter factory right here with the mechanical dirt in front of it, and in front of that, we have a giant, monstrous cobblestone box whose sole purpose is to generate mobs to be killed by the mob slaughter factory. And between streams, I've gone ahead and placed down 2 quantum tanks. And in the mob slaughter factory, I've set the meat to go out to the left and the pink slime to go out to the right. In the last stream, we set up a fluid cable from Cyclic to extract from the bottom of the mob slaughter factory and then to kind of send around into the mechanical dirt. And while that did work initially, I don't think that the fluid cable, well, there's 2 problems, I guess, with the fluid cable from Cyclic. One is that I don't think it respected the disabled sides of the mob slaughter factory. It seemed like once it had got all of the liquid meat out, it started to pull the pink slime, even though the bottom was disabled there. That was problem number 1. And problem number 2 is that the fluid cables from Cyclic can hold a ton of fluid. So right now, for example, we have 97,000 millibuckets of liquid meat in this quantum tank. If I was to set this to extract right here, despite the fact that this tank is full of liquid meat, it would pull all 97,000 directly out of the quantum tank and kind of just hold it in the pipes until it could make room in the mechanical dirt there, which is not great. And it's not really what we want, because we, of course, want to be able to, every now and again, take our meat feeder and use that meat feeder in the quantum tank to get some liquid meat. And by use it in the tank, I mean shift right click, like so, to fill it up with liquid meat that we can then use as an infinite food source. So I think going forward, I'm probably not going to use the fluid cables from Cyclic. We are very close to getting into Mekanism, and so I'm fairly certain that we should be able to upgrade to the mechanical pipes, which are Mekanism's fluid pipes, once we can craft ourselves a configurator, which is going to require a metallurgic infuser, but again, that shouldn't be too far away from us at this point in time. However, to get to Mekanism, we of course do have to work through a little bit of blood magic, which is on the agenda for today's stream. But before we get started with any of that chat, of course, in the last stream, we worked on getting an obsidian bee. Between streams, the obsidian bee has been working, not quite as fast as I would have liked. I was hoping for a little bit more obsidian. I did once again run into some slight issues with the apiary. Those seem to be easily resolved by breaking and replacing the apiary block, that being this guy right here. So I've done that, and they seem to be working just fine now. One common problem that we seem to be having that other people have also had is that it seems like, and I think I mentioned this before, the bees get a little confused when they can drop down to this lower level, like right here where the grass is, because they want to get to their pollination blocks. But sometimes they'll kind of just look at the side of a pollination block and then from there not be able to actually pollinate. Like this guy right here, the nether quartz bee, I think he's trying to pollinate, but he can't. And so I think one of the things that we should do to make the lives of our bees just a little bit easier is make sure that the ground that they're on is completely flat. So they can go in a straight line, a beeline if you will, directly to their pollination block, spin on it, and then head straight back, right? They don't have to dip down or do any vertical movement if they don't want to. So now, hopefully going forward, these are going to work just fine. However, chat, now that we have the obsidian, what we can do, of course, is we can start to make some of those void upgrades that we can put into our storage drawers to prevent our system from backing up in the future. And while we're working on storage drawers, people have also been requesting that I upgrade a couple of my storage drawers to compacting drawers. These are pretty nifty drawers that are made with 5 stone, 2 pistons, 1 regular storage drawer, and an iron ingot. I think right now we're just missing the regular storage drawer. And if we're going to make void upgrades today, we are going to need a ton of storage drawers to make the upgrade bases, that being these guys right here. So we should probably go ahead right out of the gate and make quite a few regular storage drawers. Like so. 44 is fine for now. We've got basically infinite wood, so that's really not a problem. But the compacting drawer here is a really nifty drawer that allows you to store your items, for example, redstone, in multiple forms. So if I put redstone in here, you'll see the redstone is now available both in redstone form and in redstone block form. Now, right now, we only have 1 redstone dust in the compacting drawer, so I can't take out a redstone block. I can only take out the redstone dust. However, if I put a stack of redstone dust into the compacting drawer, I can then begin to take the redstone out in block form. Now, the even better part of this is that once we connect up this compacting drawer to our drawer controller, like this, now when I'm in my system can access the redstone both in regular redstone form and also in redstone block form. So if ever I need to craft with redstone, it will pull it from the redstone section. If I need to craft with redstone blocks, it will pull it from the redstone block section. And so going forward, we shouldn't really have to worry about crafting things like redstone blocks again. And we can also do the exact same thing with quite a few of the other resources that we have. You can do it with ingots, and this actually has 3 different options. You get nuggets, ingots, and blocks. Again, all of which are available to the system and don't have to be crafted. Diamonds work with diamonds and blocks. Glowstone, I think, works as well with glowstone and blocks. I don't think blaze rods work. Oh, they do, but they make blocks. They don't make blaze powder, which I don't think we strictly need. I think for us, we should probably upgrade our ingot drawers and our redstone, lapis, glowstone, diamond, and emerald drawers to compacting drawers. And I think the rest of them are probably fine where they are for now. And then we should probably upgrade every single drawer with a void upgrade, so that if any of our drawers do fill up, we can keep our system going and just delete any excess. The void upgrade, nice and easy, 1 upgrade template and 8 obsidian. And just like all the rest of the upgrades, we can just right click and it will be installed in that drawer. I think the easiest way for us to move a lot of this stuff, and let me quickly grab an X here, and you know, we can probably make like a diamond X real quick. In fact, we could even take it one step further. One thing we've not done up until now is made a paxel, which is a pickaxe, axe, and shovel all combined into one. So if I quickly whip up a diamond X, a diamond pickaxe, and a diamond shovel, we can combine all 3 of those together into a diamond paxel from Mekanism. And so this has all of the benefits of a diamond pickaxe, axe, and shovel, in that it can break things that require a pickaxe as fast as a diamond pickaxe would, it can break things that require a diamond axe as fast as a diamond axe would, and it can break things that require a shovel as fast as a diamond shovel would. So it's all of those tools in one, which is super nice. But essentially what I was going to say here is that if we go and grab something like this iron here, and we just drop it down like so, I think this right here is going to be the quickest way for us to move all of our stuff from one drawer to another. Of course, we are going to have to move over the upgrades, if there are any. In this case, there aren't, which is good. But I think this is going to be the fastest way for us to move our items over, so we don't have to like manually grab all of our steel or all of our redstone and transfer them into compacting drawers. Alright, so quite a long time later, and we've reorganized the drawers a little bit. We have put glowstone, lapis, redstone, diamonds, beeswax, emeralds, iron, gold, and steel into compacting drawers. So now all of these are available in their normal item form and also in their block form. The reason we did the beeswax here is that chat did point out that if we're going to make a lot of apiaries, which we are going to have to do, because to make a tier 4 apiary, you need 4 of the tier 3 apiaries, and then 4 of the tier 2 apiaries, and then 4 of the tier 1 apiaries. And so we're going to need a lot of apiaries going forward, which means we're going to need a lot of beeswax blocks. And so having those accessible for auto-crafting later is going to be very useful for us. And we've also filled every single one of these now with a void upgrade. So going forward, we should never see items backlog over in this item router unless there isn't a drawer for that item. Any of the items already here should just go in, and if we have too many of them, they should be auto-deleted. At a certain point, we probably want to start putting upgrades in to make sure that we have like a good backlog of all of the items that we need, because right now, of course, once we fill up on diamonds, we're going to start deleting diamonds, but as we get towards the end of the pack, if we're going to make some of the creative items like the creative vending upgrade, we need things like the ultimate singularity, which requires a diamond singularity, which is made of 10,000 diamonds, and of course we need multiple of those ultimate singularities, and so we are going to want to have a lot of diamonds available to us, but for now this should work out just fine in the short term. Speaking of item routers, one thing that has been pointed out to me by the YouTube comments is that we can forgo these cyclic item pipes right here with a pretty nifty module called the puller module, that being this guy right here. So much like with the sender module before it, there are 2 tiers. I would like to go straight in with the second tier here, because I assume that much like with the sender module, the second tier doesn't have to have line of sight. So if we go ahead and get a few more sticky pistons and get a new set of blank modules, we should be able to make 4 Puller Mark 1s, upgrade those to a Puller Mark 2. We get 4 of them at once, which is perfect. And then from there, what we can do is kind of just the inverse of the sender module. With the sender module, we right-clicked on our draw controller and then put it into the item router, and then it began sending items to the draw controller. Here, what we can do is if we go ahead and get rid of these pipes here, we'll do it on both sides. We can take 2 of our puller modules, shift right click them on this item router. In fact, we probably don't even need this item router here, because it's quite possible now that we've gotten rid of... Oh, there's another creeper. They're everywhere, man. Now that we've gotten rid of the item collector and we've gotten rid of the individual cells and all of the non-apiary hives, what we should be able to do is take our puller module, shift right click on this apiary storage, shift right click on the other apiary storage, and then if we put both of these modules into this item router, so long as they are close enough, which they may or may not be, we might have to put some range upgrades in, but once we get the range upgrades in, this item router should then be able to just pull the items directly from the apiary storage, and then from there send them directly on through either down into the crate for processing in the centrifuge, or forward into the item router to be sent into the draw controller. So really, all we should have to do here is put some range upgrades into each of those puller modules. And look at that, it's working. So the combs are being now pulled directly from the storage here. I'm not quite sure where they're going. Maybe they're going like through the floor or something. But they are being pulled in a straight line directly over to the item router. We had to put 12 range augments into each one of those there, but that does now connect to both of those. Obviously going forward, we could put in 2 more for this apiary and this apiary. But now we basically have wireless item transfer from our apiaries directly over to our item routers, which is super nice. I will get rid of that creeper real quick here. If you could just get out of here, my friend, that would be ideal. And speaking of creepers, the next thing I want to address, chat, is this giant, horrendous, ugly box that we made previously. So the idea behind this was to get an initial boost of liquid meat that we could then use to make the mechanical dirt that we could then use to set up some kind of mob farm. And people in the YouTube comments did point out that we can build this giant box of cobblestone, or of any block, it doesn't have to be cobblestone, but we can build this giant mob farm box right down at as close to Y level 0 as possible, because the lower down you go in the world, the faster mobs will spawn. Like, more mobs will spawn lower down than higher up. So that seems like a good idea. The reason I made the mechanical dirt, because again, some people seemed a bit confused as to why I made the mechanical dirt when we just have a big box that does the same thing. The mechanical dirt should spawn the mobs faster, and the mechanical dirt gives us the ability to spawn mobs in specific locations. Going forward, once we get into blood magic, we're going to need a lot of blood in the blood altar, and one of the ways that you can get blood into your blood altar is by using this dagger of sacrifice. We haven't gone into blood magic yet, but once we have that dagger of sacrifice, we're going to want to get mobs basically on top of our blood altar, and I think the easiest way for us to do that is going to be through mechanical dirt. There isn't really, I don't think, a good way for us to get mobs kind of from the bottom of the world up to the surface here. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to move this box. We're going to get rid of this box. We're going to build a new, hopefully slightly nicer looking box down at close to Y level 0. We're going to take our mob slaughter factory all the way down to Y level 0 as well. And we're going to use a big box like this to generate pink slime and liquid meat. We're then going to use the liquid meat generated from that big box down at Y level 0, both for feeding us in the future, and also for automating mechanical dirt when we come to need mobs for blood magic. That's the plan, at least. So basically, right now, I think what I'm going to do, I'm probably going to make some more cobblestone bricks. I think I'm going to make a good amount of dark glass, and I think I want to try and make a box that is basically the size of the mob slaughter factory's range. So I think I want to make a box that is this big, down at Y level 0, made mostly out of dark glass with cobblestone bricks at the corners. I think that could look pretty nice. If we're going to build this glass box, and if we're going to make the majority of it out of dark glass, we are going to need a lot of regular glass to make that dark glass. And chat has just reminded me that we can look at getting that material stoneworks factory that we've been looking to get over the last few streams. So the material stoneworks factory is all the way up here. You can also get a glass bee, of course, that would work as well. But I think we can make cobble, gravel, sand, dust, and glass more reliably in the material stoneworks factory. So to make the material stoneworks factory, we first need to get an advanced machine frame. And to make that advanced machine frame, we need netherite scrap, which we currently do not have. We also need some plastic, some gold, a diamond gear, a simple machine frame, which looks easy enough, as well as some pink slime. Now, the netherite scrap is the only thing that we currently don't have, and as I mentioned before, we can get that by sifting crushed netherrack. And I think for the first time so far in this pack, we actually get a benefit from upgrading to an emerald mesh, because the chance of getting netherite scrap with a diamond mesh is 1%. The chance of getting netherite scrap with an emerald mesh is 1% plus an extra 10%. And I believe it even goes up further once we get a netherite mesh. Never mind, it doesn't. It stays at 1% and 10%. I think the only thing to get a boost from the netherite mesh is endstone. If you sift crushed endstone, I think you get a boost. Yeah, it goes from being 1%, 0.5, 1.5 to being 2%, 1%, 0.5, 1.5. So this right here, I think is the only time that you would ever need a netherite mesh. And I don't think we're ever going to use this because we have the Ender Pearl B. But just for the sake of completing the quest, I think we might go ahead and make one of these netherite meshes. At that point, we should pretty much have this first quest line here finally done. For now, though, let's grab that emerald mesh, which is going to require our previous mesh. Thankfully, I don't think there's any downside to upgrading to the emerald mesh. I don't think there are any recipes that require a diamond mesh, so upgrading to the emerald mesh, for the most part, doesn't do anything, but does give us that extra added boost to netherite scrap with crushed netherrack. And speaking of crushed netherrack, let's grab a diamond hammer. That one's a little bit worse for wear, so I think we will grab a fresh one. I didn't mean to use blaze rods for that, but also not a huge deal. We do have 3,000 of them. We can also go and make a new wand as well. I think we'll go for we can actually go for an infinity wand. It is going to take a nether star off us, but it will never break, I believe. And also we could have used the building gadget actually, now that I think about it. But just for old time's sake, we'll use the wand here. We can put down all of this netherrack. I don't know quite how much we're going to need. Probably not this much for 2 pieces of netherite scrap. And then we can just vein mine the whole thing using FTB Ultimine. And then we take all that over to the sieve here. And if we do one of these, we should hopefully get some netherite scrap. We totally did. And we actually got way more than we need. I feel like we might as well sift the rest of the crushed netherrack here. If we're going to get a netherite B, which I think is something we want to work towards, I assume we're going to have to get a block of netherite for it to pollinate. And the block of netherite can be made from netherite scrap. We need 9 netherite ingots, which means we would need 36 netherite scrap to get those 9 ingots, which I think is definitely going to be worth it. And also really shouldn't be too difficult with all of this crushed netherrack here. So let's craft up that netherite block first. We'll take 9 of these. Perfect. And we'll craft that into block form. And then from there, we can also go and look at making that advanced machine frame for the material stoneworks factory. So let me bookmark this guy, which is quite the recipe, eh? We'll start with the simple machine frame. So 2 plastic, 2 iron, 2 nether brick, 1 gold gear, and 1 pity machine frame. All right, so latex we have in here. We now have 81 buckets worth, which is very nice indeed. I did put down some more acacia wood between streams. I did also test to see whether or not you could put an upgrade, that being a range add-on, into a fluid extractor. Unfortunately, you cannot. I was really hoping that it would work. What am I missing here, chat? I'm missing a gold gear and 2 iron. I was really hoping that it would work, but unfortunately, despite the fact that you can click show working area, you can't put like a range add-on in. I was really hoping you could put the range add-on in and then just put down like a sea of acacia wood in front of it and connect everything up, but unfortunately, that does not appear to be the case. Like, it just doesn't accept the range add-on. People did also ask me, why make multiple pieces of mechanical dirt? why not just put a range add-on into the mechanical dirt? And again, it's the same reasoning. If I take this range add-on here, I can show you that unfortunately you can't put the add-on. You can put it in here, but it doesn't work. Like, there's no show working area. And from my testing, mobs will only ever spawn on top of the one block of mechanical dirt. Even if you put a range add-on in there, it doesn't work over a larger area. And then over here, if I try to put it in like this, you just can't put it in. Like, it just doesn't go in at all, which is unfortunate. Either way, though, let's quickly get a golden gear. Beautiful. And then back over in the dissolution chamber, if we go golden gear and 2 iron, and that should slowly but surely produces the symbol machine frame. And then from there, all we really need is a diamond gear, I think, and we should be pretty much good to go. So let's go grab 4 diamonds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's put that range add-on back into the mob slaughter factory. Let's quickly turn those diamonds into a diamond gear. While we wait for that, let's get 2 netherite, 2 gold, and 2 plastic. So the netherite we've just made, we'll take 2 of you. Gold, we should have in abundance. 2 of you. And plastic, we have at least a little bit of. We've got 8 left, and we can always make more in the future. And I think that's basically everything, right? Oh yeah, of course, we need the 1 or half a bucket of pink slime, which we can grab out of here. Right now we have 17 buckets of pink slime, which is very nice. Unfortunately, the recipe does only require a quarter bucket of pink slime. The same is also true with this recipe here. It only required a quarter bucket of latex. I'm hopeful that if I just break and replace the machine here, that will get rid of any excess latex that's in there. It does, good stuff. So we'll do pink slime, we will do diamond gear, 2 netherite scrap, symbol machine frame, 2 gold ingots, 2 plastic, and boom, we have a advanced machine frame. So now, we are pretty much there. We need 2 more gold gears for the material stoneworks factory itself. So we are going to have to grab some more gold. And I'm probably actually just going to grab like a stack of gold and make a bunch of gold gears so that we have them for the future should we need them, because they seem to be a pretty regular occurrence. And then the only thing we don't have outside of that, and also you want to make sure not to put it in the hopper. As mentioned before, that does not work. It has to go onto the belt. Like so. I think you can leave that there. That will, one by one, produce gears. But the only thing other than that we're missing is the pink slime, which is normal pink slime with a glass pane in the dissolution chamber. And this is one of those situations where it's actually quite nice that we do still have a little bit of pink slime in the dissolution chamber, because it means we can just throw in the glass pane like so. Quickly grab our golden gears. I'm not quite sure what's happened here. That sound is horrendous. I'm going to leave that alone. We'll come back to that in the future. We'll take our pink slime out of here. And at that point, we need a regular crafting table, a regular furnace, a diamond pickaxe, and boom, we finally got a material stoneworks factory. A very expensive block, but one that we do now thankfully have. Apparently, chat is suggesting this could be a power issue, which totally makes sense. We did steal the flux point for use up here. Let me quickly make a new flux point. Now that we have obsidian, we should really be able to make as many flux points as we like. And also, now that we have that compacting drawer, we don't have to worry about manually making those blocks of redstone either. That is a horrible sound for a machine to make when it has no power. But there we go. It's back online, finally. And then let's take the stoneworks factory. And again, for now, we'll plop it down somewhere around here, just like this. And essentially, what we can do here is if we give this both lava and water, it should begin producing cobblestone. Yeah, and what you can do here is you can change what the material stoneworks factory does to that cobblestone. Right now, all of these bottom icons are set to smelting. So every time this progress bar finishes, a piece of cobblestone is generated, and anything that is in the first like green slot moves to blue, blue moves to yellow, and then yellow moves to red. So when green moves to blue, right now the action that is being taken is smelting. If we change this to crushing, what will happen is the cobblestone that is in here, I believe, will turn into gravel in the next slot. Now, because you can't smelt gravel, it's probably just going to get stuck there. If you could smelt gravel, you can move it over. But what we can do, of course, is we can change the smelting to crushing. That will turn the gravel into sand, and then we can even take that one step further. We can then add the smelting on at the end, and so now we can turn cobble to gravel, gravel to sand, sand to glass, and we can do that automatically. We can just leave this here. I don't believe the lava or the water are used. They're not. They just stay there indefinitely. People have told me we can configure this. Right now, you'll see that it doesn't consume any lava or water to make cobblestone. But if we were to change this to like obsidian, let me turn it off real quick because I don't want it to use any of the lava or water. But we can make netherrack, obsidian, granite, diorite, andesite, or cobblestone. So if we were to make obsidian, we would have to fill it with lava because it uses a bucket of lava every single time. But for now, though, we can just leave this on cobblestone. And if we get some of those speed and efficiency add-ons, we can make the cobble to gravel, gravel to sand, sand to glass process much, much faster, which I think is the ideal situation. And that should give us infinite glass. And of course, what we could do from there is we can place a storage drawer nearby. We could even place one directly on top, for example. We could set this to push. And then if we go and grab a fresh drawer, we could place this drawer directly on top of the material storeworks factory. And all of that glass should get pushed up into here. I did have to put some glass in there to get it going. But once I put one piece of glass in, the rest got moved up. So it looks like that is working. Obviously, we're not going to keep it here. This is not its final location. I do want to do some base work at some point between streams to make this look a little nicer and reorganize the machines. But for now, the general proof of concept is that this can make infinite glass so long as we provide it with power. And going forward, if we wanted to, we could make the efficiency and the speed add-on to further increase the speed at which that glass is produced. For now, though, let's pivot back over and let's see if we can't build a giant mob spawning box down at Y level 0. So already we're starting to see mobs in here. Is that a turtle? What in the world is that over there? Let me fill this in. All right, there we go. So this is the new box. We are, of course, going to get rid of this horrendous pillar that goes all the way up to our platform. Oh my goodness, we actually destroyed. I didn't think it would destroy it all in one go. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but I actually thought that it wouldn't quite get up here and destroy this bit here, but it did. That's fine. Let's go and also grab the other travel anchor that we have. We made two. Oh no, of course. So one is over by my apiaries now. If I get my staff out here, we have a new travel anchor, or the same travel anchor that we had before, but I've renamed it apiaries. So that's working over here. And then, of course, we have our other travel anchor up here as well. So we can now teleport like that. I think we should make a third travel anchor for the mob spawner. And I think we should also get rid of these cobblestone bricks. This might seem a little bit wasteful, but they are just made from 4 cobblestone, and we do have infinite cobblestone. If I put those back in the RS system, that is going to start to clog up our very small amount of storage space very quickly. So right now, just deleting them is the easier way of going about things. We can also get rid of this now as well. Finally tear down this monstrosity. We only built it last stream, but already it's overstayed its welcome. Twitch chat has reminded me that I should light up the top of this spawner to make sure that we don't get mobs spawning on top of here, which we won't do until night falls, but as soon as night falls, they will start spawning on here quite regularly. So essentially all I'm thinking is we can build a little platform in the center here. We can then put our travel anchor, for now at least, right about here. We'll call this void spawner. And so now we can teleport down here whenever we like. And then now all we have to do is just bring down our mob slaughter factory, place it down right about here with the 2 tanks either side, and we should be good to go. So mob slaughter factory, go down here. We'll put in the tier 9 add-on. If we show working area, that should be the entirety of this new building. Oh, it's not quite. There's like one strip. I made this one too big. I guess actually I probably made it one too big because I've accounted for this being in the wall, which is not really how I intended to build it. But if we do this, that back can go free. That should now cover the entire working area just as soon as we put in the tier 9 add-on. There we go, perfect. And you'll see they're already spawning in much, much faster than they were up at the surface. So now we'll take our pink slime bucket. We'll put that on the right-hand side. We'll take what I assume is our liquid meat bucket, and we'll put that on the left-hand side. Like so. Once again, we'll set this to disabled on all sides, and then push on the left. And then for the pink slime, we'll do the exact same, but push on the right. And so now, as soon as we put down the power, we should start to see these mobs being killed. And we should start to see more liquid meat and pink slime being generated. Twitch chat is correct here in that the quantum tanks are letting light through, which is unfortunate, but I guess easily fixable, right? If we, and I guess it's a slightly risky move, if we do, given that we have no armor, this move is needlessly risky, but if we do something like that, that should lower the spawnable area by 2 blocks, but it should block out that light from the quantum tank and thus allow these to continue working. And I think it's quite plausible that maybe the mob slaughter factory here might not be fast enough at its current speed to keep up with all these mobs here, especially once we leave. Like, they're not going to spawn when we're this close, but if we do a /home, going forward, when we're up here just moving around, mobs will continually spawn down in that box there, and it is quite possible that the mob slaughter factory might not be fast enough to keep up with them. If that's the case, it's not a huge deal. We could, much like with the material stoneworks factory, look at getting the efficiency or speed upgrades for it. Alternatively, we could also get ourselves a mob crusher, which is essentially the same thing as the mob slaughter factory. It will kill the mobs, but instead of producing liquid meat and pink slime, you get the mob drops. So we would get the bones, the gunpowder, the string, the redstone, glowstone from witches, the ender pearls from enderman, all that stuff we would get, and it would be pumped up. We don't really need it. The only thing that we would really want, I guess, is the bone meal, because right now we don't have bones being generated by a bee. But gunpowder, ender pearls, and rotten flesh we're all going to be generating with our bees. I guess string could also be potentially useful, but we might look at that. We might look at getting a mob crusher at some point in the future as a way to killing excess mobs that we might have down here. But for now, I think this is working just fine and should give us, hopefully, more than enough liquid meat to keep our meat feeder full. You'll see right now we've got 94,000 millibuckets of meat in our meat feeder and a further 119,000 millibuckets in the quantum tank here. Unfortunately, you can't fill it up like this. It doesn't work. You have to just right-click, like so. But now that is full, we can throw it back in, and probably at the start of every stream, we can just come down, fill that up, and we should be good for food throughout the entirety of that stream, which is perfect. And of course, going forward, once we get into blood magic, we can actually start using this liquid meat with the mechanical dirt that for now is kind of just sitting over here, but of course is going to be moved fairly soon. We can start using it with the mechanical dirt to spawn in mobs for our blood altar. Now, speaking of the blood altar, I think the last thing that I want to work on in today's stream chat is getting started with a little bit of blood magic. So let me get rid of some of the stuff in my inventory here, like these item router upgrades that we don't need at this moment in time, nor do we need the hammer or really the iron axe anymore, because we have this Paxel, which is actually very close to being broken, probably because I vein mined that giant amount of cobblestone bricks. But either way, we do have a blood altar. And for now, let's go ahead and put this down, maybe like right about here. Much like with the Astral Sorcery setup, this is going to be very temporary just to get us into the mod. I do want to do a bit of a base redesign at some point fairly soon, and we'll probably set up a dedicated area for blood magic. But for now, to get into blood magic, we need to get ourselves one of these guys right here, the Sacrificial Knife, which we make with 1 iron ingot, 1 gold ingot, and then 5 glass. We should have quite a bit of glass in here. I did smelt up maybe a little bit more than we actually needed for that box downstairs, but now that we have it, making the Sacrificial Knife here is going to be nice and easy. Boom and boom. And the way this works is if we right-click with the knife near our blood altar, we will take half a heart worth of damage, and I believe 200 life points worth of blood is placed into the altar. Now, as you can see, that life essence is fleeting, like it does disappear if you don't use it. I do believe that as a reward for one of these quests, yeah, we did get the guidebook, and in here, I believe it does tell us how much we get. Yeah. In order to add your life essence measured as LP, you first have to craft a sacrificial knife. By right-clicking in the air with the knife, you can extract 200 life points for the cost of 1 heart, placing it into a nearby altar. The altar starts with a maximum capacity of 10,000 life points, and the blood level in the basin indicates the percentage filled. The divination sigil allows more detailed information about the altar. So this is a very basic blood altar. If we look in here, I do believe there's a section telling us about the blood altar, and it might even show us some of the higher tiers as we go through. Yeah, right here, you'll see the tier 2 blood altar, and then the tier 3 blood altar, and then the tier 4, and then finally the tier 5 blood altar is this massive multi-block structure that is definitely going to require its own area eventually. But for now, we have this very basic altar, and if we want to progress on into Mekanism, and even further into things like RF tools, we need the steel casing. The steel casing is made in a tier 2 blood altar, and the way that you upgrade a blood altar, at least from tier 1 to tier 2, is by adding a couple of runes. Specifically, we need 8. So this is a tier 2 blood altar. It is the same blood altar we have now with 8 runes. There are a bunch of different runes that you can make. In fact, if we look right here, you can see a list of all of the different runes. These are all the runes that have effects, and depending on which runes you use, that will affect that will change the way that your blood altar functions, either by like increasing the capacity, or with things like the rune of self-sacrifice that will give you more blood for every use of the knife and things like that. You can also, if you just want to get a basic tier 2 altar, just make blank runes, and then using those blank runes, you can just upgrade the altar to tier 2. So if we want to make 8 blank runes, these are made with stone, a orb, a blood orb of any kind. There are different tiers of blood orb in blood magic, and a blank slate. So a blank slate is a quest we have right here. To make the blank slate, all we have to do is put 1 regular piece of stone into the blood altar with 1,000 life points. So let's grab a regular stone. We have 9, which is perfect. We only need 8. If we put this in, like so, and then we do a quick shear here to get rid of this leftover tall flower that I didn't know was there. But if we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that should have placed in 1,000 LP worth of blood, which should then be infused into the stone brick that is here. It looks like that didn't quite work. Let me put in a bit more. That should make its way in, and boom, we get ourselves a blank slate. So if we do that 7 more times, and if we get a weak blood orb, we should be able to make enough blank runes to get the steel casing. The weak blood orb is made in the exact same way, but it needs 2,000 life points and a diamond, which again really shouldn't be too difficult. This, of course, is made significantly easier by the fact that we have this liquid meat automatically feeding us, because no matter how much damage I do to myself, the fact that we have food always being pumped right back into us means we refill our health just insanely quickly, which is super useful. So there is blank slate number 8. Let's put in that diamond and do a little bit more with the old sacrificial knife here. And at that point, we should be pretty much good to go. We are going to need more stone, actually, now that I think about it, because we do not have enough stone to make this work. But if we quickly get some cobblestone smelting over here, once we have all the cobblestone, we should then be able to start making the blank runes. And it shouldn't really be too difficult for us to upgrade this to a tier 2 altar. And then from there, it's just 1 block of steel and 5,000 LP in order to get our first steel casing. Now, of course, going forward, we are going to want to get many steel casings, so we're going to want to do this quite a few times. And there's also a ton of extra stuff, much like with Astral Sorcery. There's a bunch of extra stuff in Blood Magic that I do want to start playing around with. Going forward, we're going to want to devise a system by where we don't have to use the Sacrificial Dagger to put our own blood into the blood altar. Instead, we're going to want to get the Dagger of Sacrifice, as I mentioned earlier. With this, what we can do is we can spawn mobs in, for example, using the mechanical dirt, push them near to the blood altar. I believe they have to be within a 2-block radius of the blood altar for it to work, so we kind of want them to fall down basically on top of the blood altar. From there, if we kill the mob with the Dagger of Sacrifice, then blood will be placed into the blood altar, from that mob, so we don't have to be the ones putting the blood in. We can get a continuous supply from the mobs that we're spawning in. If we look at the book here, there's probably a section regarding the dagger. The Dagger of Sacrifice will allow you to kill any mob, monster, or passive that stands within two blocks of your altar, instantly killing them and granting you a decent sum of LP. You can increase the amount you get per kill with the Runes of Sacrifice. Different entities give different amounts of LP. Check our configs for more information. I haven't checked the config just yet, but this is definitely something we're going to want to get sooner rather than later to make it a lot easier, not only to get into Blood Magic, but also, of course, to get more steel casings for Mekanism, because I think we are going to want quite a few of those going forward. For now, though, let's see just how many of these blank runes here we can make. Thankfully, the weak Blood Orb is reusable. The blank slate is not. Right now, we can make a grand total of 4, which is missing a bit more stone to make the rest of them. All right, so 8 blood runes later. We are going to lose a little bit of blood when we pick this up. But now, what we should be able to do, if we quickly grab like a cobblestone here for the middle, is we can do something like this with the 8 blank runes around it. Like so. Again, obviously not a permanent location, but this is now a tier 2 altar. So if we were to grab a block of steel, which now we can take out directly from the compacting drawer, place that in, and then use our dagger to pump a bunch of LP into the system, being careful not to put in too much to where we die, and that should, if we put enough in there, generate a steel casing. Obviously, going forward, we're going to want to get some of the speed runes. Some of these guys, the acceleration runes and the speed runes, to increase the speed at which this does its thing, because as you can see right now, it is pretty slow. Also, I'm fairly certain that if you run out of blood while there is still like a craft going on, it will start to kind of go backwards, like reverse itself. But either way, boom, we have our very first steel casing, chat. It took us quite some time, but we do now have it. And so I wouldn't really say that we can get into Mekanism just yet, because it would take us a very long time to get enough steel casing to get, you know, a decent amount of things from Mekanism. But we could at the very least make one machine, for example, a metallurgic infuser, if we wanted to jump through into like RF tools, or if we wanted to get some basic items from Mekanism. Going forward, we'll definitely be working more with Blood Magic, setting up higher tier altars, and definitely getting that automation up and running so that we don't have to use the dagger, and we can hopefully set up automation for steel casing to where we don't have to manually move the steel blocks and kind of, you know, sit watching them forever. That would be ideal. For now, though, chat, I think I'm probably going to go ahead and wrap up today's stream there. Next time, we'll come back. I do want to do a little bit of work on refined storage. We desperately need some more storage space. I would love to get a wireless crafting grid so we can craft like we can in this crafting grid, but anywhere in the base. That would be ideal. I do also want to set up the higher tier Blood Magic altar and get more mechanical dirt to facilitate that altar, of course, with that Dagger of Sacrifice. That's also on the list of things to do. And of course, there's still yet more bees we need to get. So we probably want to get some auto crafting up and running so we can start auto crafting apiaries. If we're going to get to the highest tier of apiary, the tier 4 apiary, we need an absolute ton of resources. Like, we need to do so many crafts. Again, like 4 of every tier. And then the fact that the first apiary requires 4 with the previous, and 4 with the previous, and 4 with the previous. I think you need like 256 hives per tier 4 apiary. It's insane. You need so many of them. So we're going to have to set up some kind of auto crafting. That's definitely on the list of things to do in the coming streams. But for now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's stream there.